So, greetings. Just sort of hanging out, chatting a little bit for a few moments. Um, my friend recently got a new computer, got Starfield, put that on there, and his trajectory on the game was similar to mine in the sense that he started off pretty excited. There's a lot to do, there's a ton of skills, the gunplay's pretty good, and that just consistently went down over time as the hours ticked on. The enthusiasm for the game waned pretty hard until finally he's like, I'm done. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do a cyberpunk run. And he completed a playthrough. So again, don't get me wrong. Um, and I got about 100 hours out of Starfield and ultimately quit and uninstalled Starfield. Now again, I got 100 hours, so it is still more value than probably 80 or more percent of my Steam library. So let's keep that in mind. But I will say that Starfield is absolutely the most disappointing Bethesda RPG um, that has come out. And it was, as it said, wait, it was on here. It was on here, gosh darn it. 25 years in the making. Not the game, obviously, but the universe was 25 years in the making. Now, my guess is they just mean, oh, hey, we've been making these games for 25 years. Still, Skyrim was what, 2011? So you are talking quite a long time for this game to have come out. And it is by far the worst Bethesda RPG, I think. I think in some people's mind, it will definitely give Fallout 76 a run for its money. I got way more hours from Fallout 76 than I did Starfield, partly because of the multiplayer bit, and I played a lot with all my friends and my dad and my kids and so on and so forth. Plus, there's a lot of character progression in Fallout 76 compared to Starfield. But there's still a lot of talk about Starfield. I mean, I have another guy, a friend from work, and he's still playing. He plays it and he likes it. He only plays, whatever, an hour a night or a couple hours a night, and he hasn't even doing the story. He's just going and building bases and stuff and ships and so on, right? So I mean, there's enjoyment to be had in the game, but I would still contend it is the most disappointing of the Bethesda RPGs. And so why is that? Why the bile? Why the, you know, I suppose I don't care, but I care obviously enough to post this, to record and post this. And I think what bothers me about it. So I thought about this because I was like, man, why do I even care? Like, I shouldn't even care. It's good. It's done. I just played 100 hours. I'm out. Um, I suppose I'll tell you what bothers me about it. I think it's the obviousness. The bad parts are obviously bad. The bad parts are egregiously bad. And obviously so, I think in such a way that it offends me weirdly. Right? It's just one of those where you go, no one sat down and said, huh, you know what, this isn't fun. Now my guess is maybe that did happen, and of course by then it was too late, right? It was already a year after they had, gone to Microsoft and so on, is right, or whatever. And it's like, we got to get this thing out the door. This thing needs to make some money, and then maybe we'll keep the lights on. So maybe it did, but there's so many parts that just are just not good, and they're so obviously not good. Like the reuse of the POCs, the points of POIs, the points of interest, all the way down to the unique items in them. It's just one of those things that's just, it's bad, and it's egregiously so. You play for a couple hours and you go, man, something's wrong with this. Like it's um the abortive quest lines, that have no meaning or impact or don't cross over, don't affect each other, that just end. I mean, I get it. Bethesda RPGs have never been about world impact, really, right? They're about, hey, do it all, do everything you can do, because you can be the head of the thieves and the head of the bandits and the head of the assassins and the head of the mages and the head of the barbarian, like everybody. You can be the head of all the shit. Um, and nothing closes anything off, because we don't want, God forbid, we close anything off. You're never going to replay this game, right? um, yeah, tell that to the 13th Skyrim mod pack I have on my SSD. But even so, like the end of the Terramorph quest, where you pick, the bird dinosaurs or the Uber virus, right? And there's nothing there. Like that could have easily, there should have been some ramifications of picking one or the other. You could have easily made a mission or two or an event or two or something other than your guys bitching at you. If you pick the creatures, which were the thing that had been keeping them in check in the past, like they bitch at you for not believing in science, when indeed ecological science would have told you that keeping these natural predators around made sense. But even beyond that, it has no, like, such a missed opportunity. Killing Ron Hope means nothing. You killed a governor of the Freestar Collective, which you were told to play gently around, and you kill him in front of a whole building full of people. And you go back, and your boss is like, "Yeah, okay, well, good job. Take a ship." Um, the In the beginning of the Pirates quest, when you betray Delgado or don't betray Delgado, it's a meaningless. It is not a. It makes no sense. Um, there's no consequence to it at all. It all rolls back into the exact linear quest line. It's about as disappointing as, if you remember Cyberpunk, when they said, "Oh, you're gonna have these life paths." So the answer is, well, you really don't have these life paths. You have 10 minutes of gameplay, which is different. In Starfield, it is seconds of difference if you choose one thing over another, really, most of the time. Oh, the quest with the slower than light ship, with the slower than light settlers over the resort planet. I hated that. Like, it was such a great tease, and then it just, yeah, it peters out instantly. Um, which is sort of interesting, because I always think that that's one of the things that science fiction tends to differ than, say, fantasy, right? Um, in a lot of ways. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can still do space opera science fiction, and it reads a lot like fantasy. Star Wars reads a lot like just Lord of the Rings, effectively. For all intents, I mean, they dumped it out for Lord of the Rings for sure. I just pissed off so many Tolkien. I mean, of the 30 people that watch this video, I'm sure some of you are Tolkien fans, and I apologize deeply. But but typical, but there is, in my experience, a big difference in a typical fantasy story, which is a lot more swords and sorcery, hero's journey. Um, Hero goes here, does this, goes to the next place, does this, goes to the next place, does this, climax, right? Whereas a lot of science fiction stories are less about that and more about humanity finding itself in an awkward position, amidst in the universe. It's a lot harder to do games in science fiction, in for that reason. And this game isn't really attempting to be that. It's attempting to be a lot closer to, say, a Firefly Western in space, right? Having said that, then don't tease me with a very amazing sci-fi trope of what happens to the slower than light settlers if you're not going to at least try to follow through on that with something it has some impact and meaning. And they just stopped. It wasn't even fell short. Let's not even say fell short. They just um It's like the guy, the dude at the beginning that went, "Hey, let's betray Delgado," and you go, "Sure," and he goes, "No, no, no, just kidding." Or if you say, you know, right, or if you, it just goes away, and so it almost makes me wonder if there's something in their sort of the dialogue engine that just precludes having that meaningful meta state of all the things you've done matter to all these dialogues. At some point, is it some spaghetti? I can see a spaghetti of dialogue boxes and lines connecting them, and they just said, "Ah, screw it. You know what? Let's just not do that. Let's make these way, 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 way simpler." Um, I mean, heck, even the whole goddamn hero's journey that they use. You're the Starborn, and you go to these temples to pick up your powers as opposed to being the dragonborn and you go to these word walls to pick up your powers. It's it's just Skyrim done worse because the temples are dumb again, and the temples, absolutely, who created that and check tested it. Let's not even say created it. who who played that and did that 3 times and said, yeah, this is okay to put in there. This is okay to keep in there. I just can't see it. It was instantly tiresome. It was tiresome the first time, but the second time, you know, and again, you have this huge body of work out there already to copy it, to plagiarize off of, or crib notes, right? You're not plagiarizing. You have the Zelda temples are a great example. The Breath of the Wild temples could have been exactly what you used as your model. You go, well, I'm going to use power X. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get this power here. You're going to get the power to slow time down. So why don't we make a temple that forces you to slow time down? Or you're going to get something to shoot, you know, fireballs out your arm. Why don't we give you a temple that requires you to shoot fireballs out your arm, or the thing to get the oxygen? Like, why? I can't see anyone playing the temple game and going, yeah, let's put this in. Let's get this in there. Um, so I don't think that it is a terrible game overall, but I think the parts of it that are bad are just so obviously not complete, or obviously bad, or unfun, or poorly designed, that it just makes me wonder, you know, what the hell happened. Um, and it makes me, you know, a little bit. I mean, whatever. It's a video game. I don't really give a shit to some degree. I played my hours and I'm done and I put it away. Like I said, it does beat 80+% of my Steam library. So I will. I mean, so in that sense, it is still a B minus game, I suppose. Um, but you compare it to Morrowind, compare it to Daggerfall, even, which is probably the closest analogy of this game. Um, you know, but when did Daggerfall come out? Like, I mean, I'm comparing this game, this 2023 game, to Daggerfall. I mean, I'm looking that up right now. When did Daggerfall release? Daggerfall released in 1996. It was released on September 20th in 1996. It's so that's forever, more than 25 years ago. So it 27 years. So you're talking about a game 27 years old, and that's the closest analogy to this game, and that you have this weird, clunky open world that you tend to fast travel mostly through the, you know, and have and sort of, you know, not exciting quests and some procedurally generated stuff, and you know, and that was probably one of their. And I love Daggerfall, by the way, um, because the character builds are more fun than than what we end up with. But that's probably actually the closest analog, because if you compare it to Morrowind, there's no comparison. You compare it to Oblivion or Skyrim, either of the Fallout's 3 or 4, or New Vegas, of course. You know, 76 different type of game, but yes, this is probably the closest to Daggerfall, and it misses in a lot of the same ways that Daggerfall misses, except again, you're talking a 27-year difference. So, so I don't know. I don't know why I needed to get that off my chest particularly. I think I brought it up because my buddy got it and sort of put it down. He's like, I'm good. I played it. I played it through once. Whatever. It's not good enough to continue. And I felt the same way. Ultimately, I uninstalled it because I need room for another Wabbajack mod list on my damn hard disk, on my damn SSD. So I mean that's sort of what it makes way for, and that's a shame because I was very excited about a science fiction game with the Bethesda cachet, but frankly, I don't think that means that much anymore. Um, the, we're definitely looking at a downward trend here, it seems. So let's see. I do not have a great deal of hope for the Elder Scrolls 6 or the next Fallout at this point. Definitely not going to pre-order those games. I'm going to let them sit for a year. And if Starfield doesn't, come up with some serious, grassroots mod support that sort of takes it in a better direction, I don't know that that guy ever sees the light of day again. So, all right. Anyway, that was way longer than it needed to be. Thank you for putting up with me, and I will talk to you all later.